Buena, Odi Carmona, abogados con experiencia. Accidente, no hay problema. Llama al 702-999-0000. Hi there, Odi Carmona. Pregúntale Odi is here. I am happy to have on the podcast today, which I may have cost her to run because my defense was tough, and I got her on. I am so happy to have Danielle Fontenot on the podcast today. Danny, thank you so much. For those of you that don't know her or don't recognize her, she is a Baylor graduate, basketball player, retired WNBA, entrepreneur, and now we are happy to say she is a resident of Las Vegas and the director of the Las Vegas Aces Foundation. Welcome, Danny.
Hi.
Oh, wait, let's not forget the other hat. She's a mother of two. So with that,
Yes.
How are you?
I'm wonderful, especially now that I get to come and hang out with you because
You're so funny.
it's been a pleasure to meet you and to be here and new to the city. So I'm really happy. So thanks for having me on.
Oh, I am excited to have you because we share so much in common. Mind you, I'm not a basketball player, but
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. That means you know how to move things around.
There you go. There
a
you
space.
go.
So yes, you are.
Exactly. But we have been talking for weeks now. You know,
Yes.
we've been talking about our family. We've been talking about our city, Las Vegas. You're loving it. You like it here. You like our weather. And you have two daughters.
I do. I have a stepson that's 21, and I have two girls who are 6 and 10.
Wow. Are they liking Las Vegas, liking school here too?
They're liking it so much that I'm really tired, Odie, because they want to do everything.
Yeah. Yeah. There is so much to do.
It's
There
a
is
lot
so
of stuff in the city to do. They have been embracing it very well, and it's different from them. Like, you know, being from Houston and you know, different landscaping. So the fact that they wake up and see mountains and it's something they've never seen, it's a very it's a different environment for them. And it's affecting them emotionally and in a very positive way. And so they're really excited. And I think it's just beautiful as a mom to see them adjusting so well.
So well. You know, it's funny you say that because I came from Miami in 1982. Miami is flatland, right?
Okay.
So when I moved here, the same thing. I'd wake up every morning and look at the mountains because to me, they looked like they were cardboard. They weren't really there.
Right.
But it's beautiful. Vegas is beautiful. And most people don't realize that whether you think of us as the Sin City, gambling city, or whatever, it cracks me up because now ESPN has their own betting company. So we're not all about gaming. Of course, it's our number one priority as far as our economy, but there's so many other opportunities here in Vegas for entrepreneurs, for women in business, for minorities. And this is what I wanted to talk to you about because you are an incredible woman that
thank
is
you.
handling a lot of hats. Okay, you take one off and you put the next one on. But what I wanted to really talk about is your entrepreneurship spirit,
Yes.
because we talked about this before that my generation didn't have it. You know, if you owned the business, it was because your forefathers owned it and it just came onto you. But to be brought up, at least in my family, in my household, that was single mom, you know, you didn't think of opening up a business because you had to go to work every day. You went to Baylor. So that's an amazing, you know, university and your education. So you tell me how you combined your academics with your sports and athletics and then onto life.
And see, that's the thing. I'm so glad that you used the word, how did you combine? Because combining things is it takes time to get full integration and harmony with combining different environments into one where you can actually see something grow. So really, when I went to Baylor University, it was PWI. And I mean, I'm a young girl that came from a different economic status where we didn't have that much. And then to be in a space where people appeared to have more than what I had, there was association with some shame. And so that impacted me emotionally because I realized that I really hadn't been out in this space or exposed to what higher education is. And that's because I was a first gen, meaning that I was a pioneer of this thing. And people don't know what comes with pioneering spaces. And then at the same time, they do, unless you've actually done it or studied history, right? Because that's the whole thing about pioneering, doing something different. And entrepreneurship is about pioneering something. It's about really stepping out, and you have to have a level of actual emotional sovereignty to do that. And that means emotional intelligence. And I lacked in that area because I wasn't exposed to, I was exposed to a lot because I played basketball, but then I wasn't exposed to other things that really are necessary for becoming a whole person that can accept their environment and combine and integrate, which means I had low self-esteem. Let me put it like that. And that impacts your entrepreneurial spirit of learning when you come into a new environment, but you don't feel so safe or secure about yourself. But playing basketball,
you don't feel like you belong.
That's what it was. I didn't feel like I belonged, but it's like I did because I was there to play basketball.
Right.
So then I belonged in a space and I felt very comfortable in a part of the college experience, and maybe not the full college experience, meaning which was supposedly the biggest part because I was a student athlete, not an athlete student. So it was about how I learned, and this environment was very different because my home environment was very different from the environment that I entered in. So if someone says, hey, this is a family environment, but what if your family environment doesn't feel so family-like?
It's what I call the culture shock.
Yeah, there it is.
Okay, it's what it is. It's the same thing as when my mom and I moved from Liberty City to 7th Street and 43rd Avenue. It was like, that song, The Other Side of the Road, Other Side of the Railroad.
Yes.
It's a culture shock. It takes for a moment because you've been in this area for so long. So it's not only maturing into a woman, but it's also maturing into yourself.
That's that part, Odie. And I realize that when I speak to you, even though we come from different backgrounds, different lives, different everything, but so similar because you know what we've been through, tough times. And then, but not just been through it, but to come out and not look like what we've actually experienced, because we still know how to be ourselves authentically, which means hold boundaries that are healthy for yourself, not care that people are saying that maybe that's in an aggressive way. Well, I'm aggressive, but I may not illustrate like that. My aggression is to tell you authentically that I don't like something. And I realize that sometimes people don't deal with that. And that's the very thing that is needed in entrepreneurship, to be able to be decisive about how you feel, no matter how everyone else is feeling around you, but to deal with it respectfully. So sometimes you have to say things very direct. And as a woman, I didn't know that I could be as direct as I could. But we do it every day with mothers and take care of our household and all this stuff. So it helped me.
But it's different. The perception is different because when a woman is in a boardroom, in a meeting, anywhere where she's like, look, this is the way it's going to go because of X, Y, and Z, then we're pushy. We're, but, and nothing against men, but it's the honest truth. And I've lived with it and I understand it. But when a man says in a meeting, sits there and goes X, Y, and Z,
it's understood.
Everybody's doing this.
So guess what sports did for me? It helped me balance that out. It let me know. And so what? And so what? You feel like that, and so what?
Yeah.
That you went through that, and what happened?
It's like the defense, okay? It's like they might have, and again, the guard might have passed you up this time around, but you remembered that play. So the next time you're going to stand right in front of him and take the charge.
Yes. So it's teaching me progressively, because something that may start off really tough, over time, if I keep visiting it, not just with time, but also in tempo and pace emotionally, and I allow myself to grow in a space emotionally, even though it is odd, that is how we combine. That's how you integrate, by allowing yourself to watch your life's film, which is what I talk about that happened at Baylor. See what basketball taught me, and my coach actually, what basketball in collegiate level, I watched film. See, I didn't do that as much in high school. It was a new addition to the game when I got to college. And so then I really watched what I did on the court and not just assume what I was doing. I actually watched real footage and recording of what my body was doing. And that's very uncomfortable to go one-on-one with yourself. It's very uncomfortable to watch how you behave and then to say, I don't like it, and then to apply a process or some procedures or to practice on yourself to get better with the things that you don't like. So when you can do that in basketball and it becomes a transferable skill, then you can do that in your life, and you can move forward and deal with tough times, and you could do it with a smile on your face and not lose anything about yourself because you do it with grace.
I love that, transferable skills. You don't know how many times I talk about transferable skills. That's a perfect example. Yep. You took what you learned on the basketball court, okay, and you learned in school your academics portion, and then you took it on to opening up your company and becoming an entrepreneur.
Layers.
But before that,
yep,
you were playing WNBA.
I was.
How did you get it? That process is awesome. Now, not that I'm probably gloating here, but my nephew just got drafted by picked up by the Arkansas Razorbacks.
Really?
So
Congratulations to him.
SEC.
What's his name?
Fernando Carmona Jr.
Carmona Jr. Shout out to you. Congratulations. That is awesome stuff.
So we know what college is. We know what college sports takes.
Yes.
But then that's the next level. You had to step it up to go into the WNBA, girl.
I sure did. And that's what it means. It's about stepping it up. I had a hard childhood and I went through some things emotionally, but I had both parents in the home with me. So people think that, growing up, if you still have both parents, then that's the combination that will help you, lift you to another situation in life. And and I believe that it could be at the same time, you have to understand and really look at the home life, like what's going on, not just taking care of physical needs, but what's happening to the emotional needs. Are they also being met? And so just to circle that back around, coming into Baylor, going through what I did with really balancing out what I could do in skill set physically, and then how I found integration with emotional education about myself. And the combination of that really helped elevate me to a different level, meaning that I knew how to deal with things that didn't come easy to me.
So in the WNBA,
I got drafted in the first round. 2002, I was a first round draft pick to the Utah Stars, which is the current franchise still to this day with the Las Vegas Aces, of course. It went from Utah to Salt Lake City to San Antonio, where it was the Silver Stars, on to now the Las Vegas Aces, two-time world champions, Las Vegas Aces here in Nevada. And that's why I wear it with so much pride, because I realized I was at the forefront of that, meaning when the league was starting off very young. This league is still very young, if I'm not mistaken, going on 28 years of being in existence, when you have the NBA that's been around for over 100,
whatever.
And so we're in the fledgling stages still. And so to get into the space of being part of the league and coming back to a place that I feel like I didn't do as successful as I wanted to. So I was drafted, but I only played 2 years or a year and a half in the WNBA. And then the rest of my time was played overseas. So I felt like I came in and I failed because I was carrying this mantle for my family, that this was going to be not just my own personal success, but financial success for my family. And then when I came in, I realized, oh my God, I could play basketball, but I did not know anything about financial literacy, about what to do with my money, or how to deal with my agent, or how this is not going to go from college basketball, which is just a competitive sport, to now this is my job. People are not saying like practicing is not just only an option. It is a requirement for full success to be able to play, get minutes, and keep your job.
Yes, but the other side of the coin is when you came in, the salaries were so low, but
it was so low, but the most I've ever, my family, my mom and dad had ever earned. And guess what? I didn't know that. I had no idea, because within my family, I'm African-American, Black woman. We didn't talk about money like that. So I actually didn't know anything about.
Cubans don't talk about money either.
Okay, Odie, so
my mom and I, but I know my mom paid the rent. I know I had a roof over my head.
I know I had a roof.
But I didn't know how much money
I didn't know how to break down the bag.
Exactly.
Odie, like really the bag of money. Like, so the money is coming into the household. What are we doing? I never had those talks about how to actually, my dad really pushed entrepreneurship. You know why? Because he didn't have a college education. And he told me that if I got a college education and got the degree, and that I could be more successful than what he could. And then you start to realize it's not just going into that space, getting a degree. There's so much more that comes with the emotional capacity to handle financial wealth. So I had no idea that me sending my money home every time I got paid and living off my per diem was not the way for me to go for economic stability as a 21-year-old entering into the workforce as a professional athlete. So therein lies why I'm back here now, and why it matters so much to me to be a voice, to be an advocate for that, to actually create myself and establish, because it's more than just a title of executive director for the Las Vegas, or for the ACES Foundation, even though it's a part where I had a part on the front end of this. Like, I really have some skin in the game for the league, for sports, for women, for Black women, for all of that. And I feel this big level of responsibility. But guess what? If I don't put my own mask on first, which means look at myself face to face, go one-on-one with myself and where my emotional weaknesses are, and have I matured into womanhood? Have I become the person that I want to help young girls grow into? And to deal with things that I don't like, but to do it with upright standing of myself, which is
with
so
gracefulness.
impressive. The way that you told me, because I'll drop an F-bomb in a minute. But let me tell you, I only say that because I'm real and I'm authentic. And I talk to young girls who are looking like, I keep talking to machine people. Talk to me like a real person. Like,
Girl,
is it just as bad being an adult as it is a child?
You're talking to a person who's mentored so many young men and women throughout my year, 28 years, okay? And the one thing they always said was, you always told us the way it is. I don't mince with words. I don't sugarcoat it.
You have not
because
with me.
Life
and I
is
like
not sugar, okay? It could be vinegar and oil at the same time.
Yes, and then you can get to your sweetness. I realize that bitter, even just a little bit, makes it better. And that you can't have this I'm only good or I'm only bad type persona. You can, but it makes it really difficult on your mental and emotional health. But if you can understand that being a human being, a true human is mean that I have mistakes, that part of this is learning, part of evolution is observing yourself, part of growing emotionally is actually being able to take self-assessment. And when you're able to do that, that means you're in your hood. And the hood that is adulthood that is ready to go into manhood or womanhood. And that is it. That means you're able to be a grown woman and to say, I behave this way because of X, Y, Z. I call it a peanut butter and jelly effect, that we have like a PB&J, that we do patterns, behaviors, and then we judge. But if you can learn how to judge first and say who you are, that you
judge
are always
me before
loving,
I judge you.
Judge yourself first, then you will create different patterns that will give you a different behavior, and that is how you get a different result.
It's funny because my mom used to have a saying, and I'm going to... don't spit up because it comes down.
Oh, geez, yes.
Okay, so in other words, I know my mom's analogy was crazy, but what basically it meant is don't be criticizing
unless you have an
before you're
umbrella
looking at
for
yourself
that.
and saying, because at the end of the day, being a woman is difficult. I know being a man is difficult.
And we love it.
I'm
Our husband, I tell him too, because he has to deal with me probably.
Exactly. and my husband has dealt with me for 41
And
years,
it's not
poor soul.
easy.
It's not easy, but at the same time, it's just the way life is. And that's what I tell young ladies. You can change the sense that, you could be 50-50 in a marriage. You could be 50-50 in the housework. But at the end of the day, the foundation of a home is the woman.
Talk about it.
Is the mother, is the one that keeps, what are they? The cement that keeps the structure together, or however that saying goes.
Yes.
Because that's how we're built. That's how we're wired.
That
and
is
I'm
how
not
we're
saying
wired.
all the women, don't take me wrong. If you're not, it's not, that's what my
Yes.
experience with from my mom, what I learned from grandma, my mother-in-law, who was awesome, incredible woman as well. Those women in those days just do it and shut up. Just
And they
do
did.
it.
And
they
I learned
did it.
from that.
And you have to be strong. Nowadays, it's a little different. We've discovered a lot of issues with mental illnesses, emotional illnesses, depression, all that. So it embodies what we learned, but what we also need to change down the line.
There you go. So progressively. So I realized that maybe my mother did some things and my father did some things within the household that I can accept and say, that was them because of the way they were raised. And it was a different era, a different time, and there were different factors. Now I can look at it and say, what did you get from that? What do you want to keep from that? Like, I accept all of it, but then I realized there are some things that I could do better than my mom and dad did, meaning that I could have a different emotional response to it and still accept them, love them, because I am them. So I don't have any disdain. Like, I tell my mom and dad that now as an adult child, I'm a daughter. So I have different conversations with them now that I did than when I was 9, because I have a deeper perspective. I can see how tough it is as a parent. I can see how tough it is as a woman, as a man. So they weren't just my parents. Like they were actually their own people dealing with their own things, their own emotional stuff from their parents. And then also trying to come together and make a marriage work, and then also take care of finances and all that. It's so much. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I was super active in sports, and I could see how that could create a different space. So now I have different conversations with my parents about things, and I give them grace because I realized, shoot, they didn't know either. They were just out here doing the best that they could. So now let's talk about it. And if there was something that they emotionally respond to that I didn't like, can I not change that now and say, well, Mom, I see that maybe this is a way that you emotionally responded to this. And, now maybe there's a better way to do that. But I never take away her tenacity or his for trying to do whatever they could throw at it to make it work.
The thing is that it's all about family and keeping up the traditions and the customs and stuff. But what I've learned, at 62, my daughter's 36, is the millennials are different.
Ooh,
the millennials are different, and it's not that they're bad. They're not. They're just very grounded. So they keep the family values. They keep the family traditions. They're just not as obsessed about it as we were as my family.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying?
I call myself the family historian. Like, I really now realize that we have been working so hard externally that there's been a gap on family connectivity. So my husband and I, our last name is Fontenot, and so we've definitely branded it as Fun to Know. And I realized that why I felt so lost in my life at times is because I really didn't know my parents. Like, I didn't know deeper things about them, as far as how did you feel? Like, my parents had me when they were young, and I try to think about myself being 19, and which is the age I believe my mom was pregnant with me, and I'm like, there's no way.
No,
I would have
God bless
ever.
her.
And guess what? Her mother pregnant at 17, like even younger. And I was just like, see, that was a different time and era.
Yeah, Dana, you can't even go there because back in the day, the idea was you marry. That way you're stable, you have a roof over your head, and you're taken care of. And then there was the push in the 60s of the women's lib. The 70s really was where the women kicked it off, burned their bras at the White House and in front of the Capitol or whatever. And that's where women turned into career women.
Yes.
And for the longest time, they're like, no, we're not ready to have kids. Some women had kids in their late 30s, early 40s. There's women having kids right now in their 50s, which I can't fathom.
Right.
I can't fathom, but God bless her.
Oh my gosh. Me and
if
my
that's
husband
when you're
just had
ready
a
to be a
talk.
mom, go for it.
Odie, I'm about to be 43. And me and my husband just had a talk the other day in about whether or not were we done having children, when I know that wasn't even a conversation about talking about it, because I realize I reflect 43 differently now in this time, in this day, because there was a different time period where 43 was like, oh, this is way past birth.
You're past 40.
And so
but
it's
amazing. Not about the age.
It's not about the age.
It's about the energy. It's about
Thank you.
I mean, when the grandkids come over the house, my husband and I love it because it's noisy and this, and when they're gone, we're like, oh my God, it's so quiet here. But I'm telling you, I lay on the couch like, okay, I'm done. Because it's like, da, da, da. They're 5 and 7, and it's ba, 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 ba. But they don't stop. I love it. Don't get me wrong.
That's that energy.
But like, for instance, I can't throw myself on the floor like I did with Nikki to play Barbies at 27 or 30. Because now I have to roll over to get up,
Yes.
But it's about that really energy.
But guess what? Ask me how many women your age could actually do that for real, what you're capable of doing. I see, when I tell people I played basketball over 20 years ago, they're like, what? Like, no way. You look like you can go out there right now.
You look like you're 25.
Well, thank you. But I realized that's the thing about not looking like what you've actually been through, because I accept what I've been through only so that I could say, and I can handle it, because I can sit and explore it in my own pace. And I don't have to rush the way I reflect on myself because I think I'm chasing some outward thing. What I learned as an athlete is discipline over my emotions, and to look at things with a different eye, more like art and beauty, and not so competitive, more harmony and harmonious with people. Because I realize relationships, there's so many women that I learned from, that I give honor to, and I realize maybe something like that is missing. The fact that you're 62 and I'm 43, but the fact that I sat down and you talked to me, and I give so much honor because I realize that you have so much to share.
Oh, thank you.
And you listen to me like I have something to share too.
Definitely, because
and I love that.
My daughter is, she's going to kill me for this one, but she's a few years away from turning 40.
Yeah.
And it's what I told her years ago. It's, Danny, life, all of a sudden you just blink and 20 years passed and you're looking at like, what the heck? And my rule has been is I don't mind growing old. I don't mind
don't.
having this institutional knowledge, but I'll do it gracefully.
Yes.
So, like I was telling, I always wear my makeup. I always keep
I
myself
love your
up.
hair.
Thank
I'm
you.
letting my grays in because I realize they're like my little.
You embrace it.
I embrace it. I was like, I want to grow old. I want to be here to see my children grow up. I want to take a slower pace of life. I want to be in the community. I want to learn. I want to mentor these young ladies. I want to show them that life is supposed to be fun to know
Right.
and enjoyable. And there are some pains because nobody promised that this was supposed to be easy.
No.
It was supposed to be, if it is worth having, my God, it is supposed to be something that challenges you, but not to the point of beating you up. If so, you need to take rest. And that's where my husband and I are about rest, recovering, taking retreats, enjoying nature outside, seeing what the community has to offer you in different ways. There are seasons, and that's what basketball told me, that there's seasons and phases. The way I behaved in the first 6 weeks of my first of preseason is not the way I behaved towards the end of the season. I had more precise, direct things that I did because I was in a different phase at my life, and it did not
And
take
your knowledge.
There you go. Progressively. So if I really want a championship, I did all my work up front. That's the
core.
That's that junction, that gap junction of being like, can you get in your trench? And does it always feel like a down place for you to work on yourself? Are you that annoyed? And I realized, Danielle, you don't really fool with yourself the way you think you do, because you don't sit and talk to yourself and really have friendship with yourself and sit and talk and convene and ask yourself, like, why do you feel this way? And get to what annoys you. I think people are scared to say, like, that's getting on my nerves. It is literally your nervous system. We have a whole thing called the vagus nerve that sits on this side of our body that is in tune with, like, our tonalities, meaning the way you talk to yourself and the sound that you put yourself around all the time. And one big thing is basketball is self-talk. What are you saying in your head all day long? Because nobody else is in there but you. Nobody's in your head but you.
Yeah, because if you're playing with, and I'm not a player, but I've been watching basketball.
Oh, yes, you are.
Yeah. But my husband's amazing when it comes to explaining games, basketball, baseball, football, whatever.
Yeah.
He has that mind that he can tell you. So he breaks it down for me, and now I'm able to see the play coming through. So in basketball, perfect example, I see it when that guard's coming down, and I'm seeing the guy in the middle saying he is not going to move. He's going to take that fall. And those are the things, that's the inner strength, or knowing, okay, that guy or that girl is going to do a three-pointer. Now I got to shift over here. That's your internal talk.
That's only running plays through your heads through practice. I went harder at practice than I did in games, and games became easier for me. I tell people, you don't realize how hard it is to play a game where people are both yelling for you and
against you
on the same space, and how you have to tune that out and get a mute. Beyonce did it in her concert when she was like, everybody on mute, which I didn't get a chance to go see the Renaissance when it came here to Vegas, but when she was here, but I did watch the movie and I was inspired by that. And I realized the reason is because we actually do not know what we're capable
When
of.
to shut down.
Yes, if you can shut down, you can tap into a different level of creativity. It brings a different level of focus. This is what I learned in sports about how to really go into your own cocoon. It's really tough to be in there and demand more of yourself, and then come out bold and brave and say, I did that, and whatever happened in that is just what it is. And whoever's here to judge me, that's fine, because I'm already going to judge myself, and nobody else can give me that. I realized my self-love was the only complete thing that I was missing for full self-satisfaction. There was no external validation that was going to make me feel happier about myself.
Nope.
It was just little old me, and that's all it is. And so until I fully fell in love with the person I am, flaws and all, meaning who I am, where I came from, and how I grew up, and start being my authentic real self, then shit, it wasn't what.
There's nothing else.
It's nothing
Once
else.
you grow, and I tell this to a lot of young women because I'm just referring to females now, okay? I did this and I used to tell these young women, especially at the university level with my student workers, you gotta know who you are. You gotta know what you are and be comfortable in your own skin, which means, okay, and they used to look at me and I go, it's not about the style, it's not about the makeup, it's not about the hair, it's not about the designer bag, okay? It's about being able to put yourself in front and say, this is who I am, regardless.
Yep.
And then once you add all those little tidbits to it, all of a sudden,
Yeah.
yes, it makes you feel better. But until you know who you are, it's like fashion. You can follow fashion.
Come on.
You
Just
can
like
follow fashion.
And it's trending.
But the thing is until you learn what your fashion is,
yes.
you're not comfortable with it.
I'm now comfortable bare, and I realize that beauty comes in when you're able to bare yourself, meaning to be naked to yourself about who you are.
Exactly.
And then when you are, you can put anything on. I can have whatever bag, purse, all that stuff
doesn't
that you
matter.
want. It really doesn't matter because that's not the thing that's validating me.
No, it's
because
me.
I could take that, leave that. It doesn't matter. And so I realize
If I take it off, this is who I am.
This is who I am.
I won't take my makeup off. I refuse.
Yeah.
But anything,
but that's your
anything
boundary.
else, that's my
and
boundary.
So I realize that everyone has their own thing, that the way you just respect the way people think and honor that, because you want to be able to be a free thinker as well and really tap into your creativity as far as who you are and have true self-expression.
And especially among women. We women have to support one another. We love one
Yes.
another, okay? So in my years of work, I saw a lot of women that were struggling, and this other one would come around. And figuratively and literally, they would and keep walking.
Oh, yes.
I would be the
I'd be
one walking
surprised
over there and saying, hey, what's up? What are
How
you doing?
women really
How
treat
you
each
do
other
it?
sometimes.
And they would look at me like, oh, you're going to help me? Of course I'm going to help you.
That's the
I don't
thing.
let anyone drown, because at the end of the day, that could be my future granddaughter. That could any of my family members could be drowning. I want someone to pick them up and say, hey, I can help you.
And I actually don't have to like everybody I work
You
with.
don't, girl,
because-
please. You
come
don't
on.
have to.
So, hello.
But
Let me
you
tell
support
But
them.
you support them because let me tell
And
you
you
something.
respect them.
I've come across some women that did not have beautiful intentions for me. And I saw that was all right. Because you know what I gave grace? I realized that maybe emotionally, maybe you've been through some things and maybe you just don't know how to talk about. Maybe you need a hug. Maybe I'm not that person to give you that hug because right now maybe you on my nerves. And I'm going to be able to tell you that in a respectful way without downing you, without doing, I could do things in private that don't necessarily need to be done in public without
Exactly.
disgracing a woman because it's not necessary. Now, I take a little, stank on attitude because I realize sometimes that's not what that is. It's just that I'm trying to get something done and I'm trying to be assertive in how I'm doing it, but I'm not trying to hurt your feelings or any type of way. So what I give is grace towards women. And I played with people that I may not have cared for. They weren't the best to me. But when we got on that floor, you wouldn't able to know it because we played with harmony because I was there to do a task and a job. So it really didn't matter
Whether you liked me or you're not,
that's
it doesn't
maturity.
matter.
That's emotional maturity for things because you know what? Guess what taught me that? Children, because my girls, I love them, but they get on my nerves at times. My husband, I love him, but he get on my nerves at times. Me, I love me, but I get on my nerves at times. I'm part of my own nervous system. And if I don't tell my body when I've had enough and I need a reset to rejuvenate and get back to centeredness and wholeness with myself, that I need to vacation. I need to turn off. I don't need to be on everybody's schedule and not be on my own calendar. I'm losing myself. I'm not in touch. I'm biting people's heads off for no reason. Leadership means knowing when you need to give yourself rest because as a professional, you always have your amateur in tow. That means I never stop learning. I realize I'm constantly evolving. Maybe later I did realize I said that in a different way. So I'm not above apologizing or having another conversation or coming back around.
I made a mistake.
So I made a mistake because I realized a lot of this with life is impromptu. You think I have a full script. I do for my own self, but I realize people have their own scripts and they add words and different feelings into your own existence. And if you don't know how to separate your own emotional self from everybody's emotional being and hold your joy, even though the world seems to be in sorrow, then you don't know how to come in balance with yourself. And the only reason that really is not happening, we have people exploding emotionally or going off in that type of way is because we're not really teaching emotional literacy, emotional education, and telling people like, how do you actually do bad? Yeah. What happens when life don't go your way? What happens when you're up against the wall? Who do you become now? My coach used to ask me a lot or tell me a lot that the true character of a person is revealed when things don't go to suit them.
Of course.
So then the true you will be revealed
of course.
When life gets really, really bad. So when are you going to say enough? And when you are able to say that's enough and then not only say that's enough and quit, but only say that's enough to go back and see what tools you really need to start to get a different result in your life, then that is womanhood. Mm-hmm. And that is upright standing without ever bending my head or having to be rude or mean to somebody. I am kind. I'm not nice. I'm here to do a task and do something. And so I treat everybody I meet
with respect.
With respect as a base minimum.
Again, I don't care what you say, what you believe, or what you do, but I am never going to disrespect anyone because that's not in me.
It's not.
Now, let's get into the Las Vegas Aces.
Yes, please.
Okay.
Let's talk about these wonderful
Back to back. I hope to meet them sometime.
Absolutely.
Hey, let's do a shout out to Adrian Goodson.
Yes. Okay.
Adrian,
Goody.
hi. You're going to be on our show next.
Yes. Look, we're gonna shout out to Goody for sure, because I love Goody. Goody was I told you she's my vet. And what I mean by that is that I'm actually now in a space where I am working with 3 women who were veteran players, or 2 women that are veteran players, but still Goody is in the mix with me now.
Right.
That were my veterans or vets on the team that have been playing for years, my rookie year.
Wow.
And you have no idea how much I give such honor to that. I work with Jennifer Azzi. I work with Natalie Williams. They both hold positions with the Las Vegas Aces. I'm with the Aces Foundation, but I am in and around the women that and working with them on a business level that I was playing with as a rookie.
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
No, that is full circle. That is full circle. And the beauty about this also is that you're coming into Vegas at a perfect time with the Las Vegas Aces being women, empowering young women. We talked about this, future camps, future events.
Talk about
future
it.
speaking
Yes,
engagements.
Odie.
Danny and I have been now talking or emailing with the city, Ward 3 and Ward 5. Shout out to Anastasio over there, because he's helped us tremendously. But those are things now that the Aces are starting to look in, because now they're starting to get embedded, they're organized, they're structured, and they're ready to hit the community and see how they can go out there and assist and just be there.
And so the Las Vegas Aces, as I'm speaking from the part of being part of the Aces Foundation, that the franchise itself is here and in the community, and we care about the community as a whole. Like, no matter what part of the city that anyone is in. And at the same time, we do realize and recognize that there are some circles right now or some parts that are needing more assistance than others, and that as a community that there is, collective effort. Mm-hmm. And so since we are here and we participate, and, people buy tickets and we have fans. And we have
the
people
games.
Come,
I went to my first game.
And the children to see women, both young boys and young girls,
yes.
to see women's sport and to see it done differently, and to really know, it just brings me back to thinking about that movie, A League of Their Own, how women have been the pioneers of many things. And really, I realize girls, women do really want to have fun, or the song, girls just want to have fun, because this game is so exciting. Oh. And I'm like, if you haven't tried it, you have to come out and look and see, because
experience
it's
the game. It really is so much fun.
They leave it all on the floor.
Yes, they do.
And they give so much. And you know what? I don't know if people realize, but after they play, most of them leave the city to go play again. And it is so tough, because the way the season runs, that this is the part that I didn't know as a player, but that I can really speak to now. Because, sometimes, they're here and these ladies give so much, but they are still not earning enough to be able to take care of themselves for the full entire year without taking a second job overseas. And so some of it is for continued play, but a lot of it is out of necessity to be able to just have to
be able to put money in retirement, because Social Security is not going to be around.
Yes. And then these women have children.
Yes.
They take time off for babies. Let me tell you about having a baby and getting that body back in shape. Okay.
I couldn't imagine. I could not imagine.
So they go through that. And after this team, you know what, I was really touched while everyone was, we were on the court, we were in New York, and where they won. And I was so moved that I was on the court, and all the lights and the cheers and the people around and the emotion and the tears. And I had a moment that was really surreal for me, because after I saw that, I saw the injuries. I saw the broken
pain.
feet. I saw the things that they play through that sometimes you don't even feel, because adrenaline is running through. But the body, there's a book called The Body Keeps the Score. So even though your body has taken hit after hit after hit during the season, you don't have time to really pay attention to that. But in off season, and why it's so important that when you go off, really take off, meaning to know how to relax. And really, I never grew
Rest
up
your
watching
body.
women know how to relax. I never seen like
Relaxation?
women,
How do you
as my
spell that?
grandma, you know, my grandmother, aunts, all them. I don't know what leisurely moving about the cabin it looks like. And so I saw these women, and my heart was so full because I know
How
that
much-
most of them, that's what a championship body looks like. And I also know that they're going to suck it up, and they're going to continue to make appearances. They're going to continue to show up and maybe deal with people that's not so kind to them. They're going to have to maybe leave family, take their children, go overseas, play more, through more pain, come back here.
And then
have
start
to
the
do
season
more
again.
appearances, do
And-
more
yeah.
things, be in the community, work again. And sometimes it gets real tough to take a breath and just breathe, like, and just take
I can
the time.
imagine.
And I would like to create a better space as they transition, because right now it's necessary and they do love it. It doesn't mean even if you do love the cycle that you don't want to take rest from it.
Right,
Just
your
a
body
little
needs to
part where you
cure,
can
needs-
pop in and just get a little rest and recovery, because life is supposedly a journey. It's not a destination that we always end up. And so you have to have those touch points where it's okay to sit down, to breathe, to relax. And so that's why I appreciate what support when the fans come out,
Aw.
because they're more than just
They- yeah.
fans.
No, they
you
are.
don't know the energy that they are giving because it's hard. When I played, there was maybe about 1,200 to 1,500 people in the stands watching.
Now
People don't
it's a
know
full
how
house.
tough it is to play when nobody's watching, and how tough it is to play when everyone
Everybody's
is watching. So you have to, both can be treacherous.
I bet. I
Okay.
bet. Well, Danny, thank you so much for being on the podcast today. It's been so much fun. And I know we're going to be working together soon.
Can I come back?
Of course you
Okay,
can come
good,
back. You can come
good.
back. We'll do this after the first of the year again.
Yeah, because
Okay.
you got beautiful things happening. So
Yeah, we're going to be doing a lot of beautiful things together.
Are you going to play me one-on-one if we do a clinic and camp together? Can we?
This is happening.
Hey, my husband could tell you so many lies about me.
He said
'cause
this is happening. I'm like, we need
Yeah.
to do this.
He always says, yeah, she was all Dade, all county, all everything. I played in middle school, but back in the day, you got to remember that. First of all, like I said, in the schools I grew up with, we had basketball, but and volleyball and kickball. But again, there wasn't the resources. So this coming year, Danny and I are going to get those resources. We're going to work with the city, the county, or whoever wants to work with us.
Yeah.
And we're going to get those young people out there playing basketball.
Because it's about them, is it not?
Exactly.
It's about these young children. It's about them and their health, physical health, mental health, emotional health.
And having fun.
And fun to know.
Exactly. There you go. Thank you. Gracias. Ori Carmona, abogados con experiencia. Accidente, no hay problema. Llama al 702-999-0000. Hasta la próxima vez y tenga buen día.